So the question is, can a beginner use Army Painter speed paints? So I just got my package in from Amazon, and I am just excited about this starter kit. What's cool is I paid about $44, and it came with this some basing greenery, and I got it from War Games. So let's go ahead and check it out and see what we think. And this is just going to be a quick unboxing, see what's inside, and then probably a review since I'm going to try to paint one of my miniatures. But I'm excited about some of these colors that are in it, and this is supposed to compare to Citadel contrast paints. So yeah, let's check it out. So it comes in a cool little box, and inside there are 10 really nice, I think it's 18 millimeter contrast paints, and it also comes with this cool little painting guide. I'd highly recommend you check it out because it has some really good tips, promote some of their material. All in all, I just think it's a good little booklet that comes with it. It talks about just different glues that Army Painter provides, and what I like is that my local game store is having a bunch of colors on sale, so I aim to get as much of these as I can and try them out. And again, I am a beginner, so this is going to be, one of my very first miniatures that I attempt to paint, and this will come in handy. Alright, let's see what else is in here. So there's a cool little, just another promotion little card that talks about some replacement warranty. And it comes with this nice little handy brush. It is somewhat of a bigger brush, but the tip of it is pretty sharp and it comes to a nice point. Alright, so let's get into the real product. So we have 10 speed paints here. Our Fire Dragon, or yeah, I think that's, no, Fire Giant Orange, High Lord Blue. Oh, and all these bottles do come preloaded with a couple of mixing bowl. I'm excited about this Orc Skin Green. I think that's what we'll use today. Zila Yellow, I think I'm saying that right. And this Blood Red here, this is probably one of my favorite ones. This Blood Red is for sure my favorite. I'll show you later. Pallid Bone, again, somewhat of a tannish color. Hive Dweller Purple. Don't know what I'll use it for, but it's here. So I think this set is somewhat, I definitely think this set is somewhat of a complete set for a beginner to pretty much cover any miniature. So that is the content inside. Now let's go ahead and break into and paint one of my miniatures. So I have this orc from Warhammer Fantasy from a long time ago, and I think it's a perfect little figure. I got it magnetized on the head, the arms, and also the wrist of the knife I kind of magnetized. So I think I'll do some more zenithal highlighting on it because I want to see how these contrasts churn out with a good little zenithal highlight. So it was a little dark, and I think I'll add a little bit more so that so those speed paints can come through easily and somewhat nice. And I just do it at a 45-degree angle from the top to bottom. Excuse me. So yeah, and honestly, this is kind of an easy process. I know there's plenty of tutorials, but if you can tell, there's some good shadowing effect going on from the bottom up. So I think this is a great beginning stage for this. It'll give us some good undertone. So of course, first one we're going to start is with orc skin. So I definitely poured out a little too much here, and a little bit goes a long way with this stuff. So I started out, putting on a good amount and just spreading it all over and seeing how it pools and seeing what kind of fluidity it has. Now, this stuff is a little thicker, but it's also very, very easy to move around and get somewhat of a result that you want. So, and if you do get a little too much, just brush it off. And as you can tell, It's still a little wet, but we definitely got some good highlights and some shadows going on already. Definitely on the arm, so with more texture, I think this stuff, it just turns out awesome. I do like this green. It's a little dark, but let's try pallid bone. And I'm going to throw this on his teeth. So we'll see how this turns out. When I first started applying this, it was a little light, and it was hard for me to go heavy in such a small crevice as the teeth. But after a second coat, it kind of turned out decent, and it darkened up a bit. So I definitely think you got to play around with it a little bit more. Especially because I was trying to go light, and so a second coat was very much so needed. But after a minute, whenever it dried up, it really did look good. Sorry the focus isn't clear, but it gave us some good contrasting with very minimal effort. So I also applied it to the tip of his axe here. I know it should be metallic, but I wanted to kind of just experiment, and I didn't know what else to put it on, so I globbed it on here just so I could play around with moving the paint around into different crevices and seeing how it would lay on some of the flat surfaces. And then I found this little bone on his sword, and I'm trying to be as generous as I can. And like I said, I am a beginner, but yeah, this hardened leather, I think this is one of the coolest ones. And so as you can see here, the back of his shield, I really did try to apply a good amount just to see how it flows. And as you can tell, the more texture you have and the more pockets you have for it to pool in, the more contrast you get. And I'm not being too careful. Again, I am a beginner, so I wanted to do this more of as an experiment. This isn't a show winner or anything, but just to see how these paints worked. And I gotta say, I'm really impressed. It's pretty easy to move around and get a good result out of without having to get into technical stuff. So there's a few more spots, a couple of leather belts and straps. And I am being careful not to spill over onto the primer, the white primer, just because it is kind of hard to fix. It's not impossible, but it's definitely hard, and so I am trying to be careful. I'm doing the handle of his axe, and again, with lots of texture, it looks great. And I also did the shoes. He's got some leather boots on. And it's a little bit more of a flat surface, but it still finds those pool pockets. And for a beginner, like I said, this is my first orc I've ever painted, and probably only my 5th miniature ever. So for anybody who's like, and I don't know, I don't have an idea of what I'm going for, so I'm not getting frustrated. I'm having fun with what I'm doing because the result is self-explanatory. So the Gravelord Gray, it's actually a really nice dark black, especially when it pools into the pockets. It turns black, and then on some of the highlighted surfaces, it stays nice and gray. So I really did like the contrast. I was worried that it wouldn't give me any black, but it really did. It did a great job just distributing on all of the smooth surfaces and finding the folds in the pans. So yeah, if you can see here, it definitely gives you a good definition. So let's try some of this Crusader skin. There's an arm back here on a shield, and so I wanted to glob a little bit on there. You do want to be careful on mixing the paint because the paint does take a little while to dry, so you can mix them up and get different results. But just looking at that, the results are, as you can see, they're quite great. I really enjoyed this. And I'm not, I can be technical, I can go back in and try to highlight it, but that was awesome. So Blood Red, definitely one of my favorite ones. As you can see, it is just, it's vivid and it's bright and it goes on so easily. And the contrasting in these speed paints, it's easy. I don't know what other words to use besides the way, just as a beginner, using, you know, a brush for the first time and just being as careful as you can without getting some of the droplets to go into other crevices or onto other colors. It stays on nicely and there's not a whole lot of pushing around you have to do. But I really like this red, and I'm excited to use it on other projects and seeing how it looks as blood and other things. So the Z-Lot yellow, I didn't know what to put it on, so I just decided to put it on a shirt. Somewhat of a big surface, and since the shirt had some nice folds in it, it really gave us some good shadowing in the folds. And I'm kind of surprised because yellow is hard, and even trying to highlight it and whatnot with just a regular yellow, it's difficult. You never get the result that you're quite looking for. Not that I know, but I watched lots of YouTube videos. But here, I mean, it was easy, and you definitely got the contrast results that I was looking for. So I was surprised, and I'm excited to use this for other things as well. So yeah, the yellow looks pretty good. You can definitely see the dark spots. And so the fire giant orange, again, I didn't have anything specific to put it on, so I found this metal little shoulder pad here, and I just decided to see what it looks like. And again, another beautiful color. It's bright, vivid, and when you pair it up with yellow and red and try to do some blending, I think the combination of these three colors is just going to be fun to play with. And as you can see, it pulled into the crevices nicely, so I can't explain how easy it is to use these colors, but I've definitely enjoyed the process. I also put it on just the metal parts on his boots, just for fun, and still, again, turns out great. Now when you slap all the pieces together, this is kind of what you get. And I honestly didn't use some of the other colors, but just painting this whole miniature with these contrast paints in about an hour or so, I mean, the result is staggering. You can just see that he's pretty much ready for the tabletop, and it did not take me that much to get this type of result. So overall, I think this is a great starter kit for anybody looking to get into something fast, something on the table to play the game. Sweet guys, if you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll try to make some more in the future, depending on what kind of response I get. But I really did enjoy this, and I'm a beginner, so I want to make some beginner videos with actual experience from a beginner. Thanks guys.